The Daily Show's Jon Stewart has a message for Biden and Democrats who are pushing forward as if nothing has happened. Let's watch.
Authoritarianism and Donald Trump aren't the only threats our democracy faces. An arthritic status quo, unable or unwilling to respond in any way to the concerns of voters who just received new and urgent information about their candidate, also erodes confidence and faith in the system of government.
Yeah, take a listen to Stewart's ideas for Democrats.
Here's an idea. I'll spitball it. It's last minute. But why don't we try and get all the Democrats together in, 6 weeks' time? We could get everybody to fly into some Midwestern town, maybe like one adjacent to important swing states. Let's call it Chicago. And they could spend, 4 days there because nobody works Fridays anymore. And on Monday, anybody who wants to gives their sales pitch of how they can make democracy more responsive to the people it is supposed to serve. You could bang it out.
He also suggested that there are plenty of other options for the Democratic ticket.
Feel free to ignore any obvious weaknesses in your team's existential fight for freedom and democracy, and then just white-knuckle this thing till November. Or take the advice of your own candidate.
Do you think there is any Democrat who could defeat Donald Trump other than you?
Probably 50 of them.
But Stewart's not the only one proposing open auditions for Democratic candidates. In a New York Times op-ed, James Carville, a Democratic strategist, proposes a series of town halls to nominate the next Democratic candidate. Carville writes, "I want to see the Democratic Party hold 4 historic town halls. Between now and the Democratic National Convention in August, we can recruit the 2 most obvious and qualified people in the world to facilitate the substantive discussions, Barack Obama and Bill Clinton." Carville said the 2 former presidents should pick 8 of the top contenders who choose to run, including Harris, to participate. So it's a good idea. I'm all for it. I didn't think that we would see a point in time where Jon Stewart and James Carville are on the same team or pushing the same political agenda. But that shows the dire straits of our country, right? That they are on the same page. And Jon Stewart's point that it erodes people's faith in government and faith in our democratic process, faith in our democracy. When you have a candidate who can't string a sentence together in a coherent way and can't perform well in a debate and deconstruct the most basic arguments coming from the conservative side, from Donald Trump. We're at a point in time where if democracy is at stake, have the town halls, restore people's faith in democracy, make the democratic process work to meet the political moment.
Yeah, that was a great monologue from Jon Stewart. I mean, he's just, that's facts. Everything he was saying there was very valid. The Carville proposal to have a Survivor-style reality show mechanism to pick the candidate instead, like hosted by Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, is certainly an inventive and entertaining idea. I would watch the hell out of that. Maybe we can have immunity challenges, some kind of obstacle course, maybe make it like Ninja Warrior. I've got great plans for this. But like I said in my radar, which people should check out if they didn't see, I don't expect any of this to happen because it would necessitate Biden's participation or Biden assenting to have there be some other candidate, and that ain't gonna happen. He's not going anywhere. He wants to be president again. You said when we were talking about my radar that one way to force him out is to start being really mean to him. That's not exactly the phrase you use, but applying the stick rather than the carrot. So I think it'll be interesting to see.
Bullying works, Robbie.
Bullying works. I don't know. Were you bullied a lot as a child, Jessica?
I was not. No, that's how I became so great, Robbie. No.
Were you the bully? Were you like? You were intimidating people? All You're rather. I would not say you're incredibly threatening in real life, given your size, but maybe you were the class bully.
I do tell people on social media that I'm 6'3", but no, I definitely wasn't a bully. I got bullied a little bit, but like not so much that I'm traumatized by it. I do think it's necessary sometimes in American politics, but maybe has no place in like schools and middle school.
Yeah.
It was an idea I had that I posted on TikTok. I'm not saying James Carville follows me on TikTok, but to have a reality style election of president, almost Jersey Shore style, they all stay in the same house, and America
Yes,
votes out the
now we're
weakest link
talking.
every week, and then the one remaining is the winner. And they do fun challenges like come up with a proposal to solve the healthcare crisis in America.
That probably
And
makes more
that's what we
sense
vote
than
on.
running an obstacle course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit more relevant. But I think that when you have so many strategists like Matty Iglesias, people who are just loyalists to the Democratic Party questioning Joe Biden, they have to say, if the people who are ride or die Democrats won't even support this guy, what's November going to look like? What's their strategy for getting more support for Biden now until November? Because if it's just tell the American people it's the elites that want him out and come up with a different excuse every week for why this is happening, I don't think that's going to improve poll numbers. It's actually proven to plummet the poll numbers for Joe Biden. So I really don't think the current plan is working. It's got to be something else, even if Joe Biden's staying in the race.
But you can see what Joe Biden's going to do, or not what Joe Biden is literally going to do, but what his acolytes, what Team Biden is going to start saying. And they've already tested this out, right? They've already said this somewhat. He's not going anywhere. So if you are naysaying him right now, if you're proposing all these alternate ideas that are never going to happen, you, fellow Democrats, you Democratic-aligned media, you James Carvilles and Jon Stewarts, you are making it so that Trump's going to be president again. You are weakening your candidate. The candidate's not going anywhere. So all of your naysaying is only doing damage. You should be standing, like this is from his perspective, right? This is what his team is going to get more defiant about this. That's my prediction. They're going to get, maybe not from Karine Jean-Pierre, although it would not surprise me if she does start doing, not to the press corps, but to, talking about Democrats who are undermining him. Well, do they really want Trump to win? That's what you're going to be told. You're going to be like, well, everything you say bad about Biden just is another Trump voter gets its wings carrying it, flapping him to the pole. That is what we're going to start hearing from more and more Biden surrogates, is my prediction.
And why wasn't Biden bashing the elites when they were saying that, his Inflation Reduction Act is going to cause inflation because it's too much government spending? Where was Biden calling out the elites when they said that his plan to cancel student loan debt was something that could also skyrocket inflation and be bad for the economy in some way? Biden has never called out the elites when they question his policy platform. Why? Because they're on the same team and they have one plan. And it's the uniparty that wants to protect corporate power in the United States because those same people are the donors. But the moment the media that's been in lockstep with the establishment and the donors that have been in lockstep with the establishment question Joe Biden, suddenly now the elites are a problem. But they weren't a problem when they questioned your policy platform. Is that because you want them to question the policy platform because you ultimately don't want it to get done? That's what I would think when you point to how they relied on legal statutes to cancel student loan debt that they knew wouldn't hold up in a court of law, when there's multiple legal analysis that suggests there's laws passed in 1964 around what the president can do and around what the Secretary of Education can do in order to waive any right or redemption for federal debt. They could have relied on legislation passed by Congress to get this done, but instead they rely on parts of the law that I'm sure the legal scholars who are the most experts in the country in the White House told them that it was likely to not work out. And so it's ridiculous that there's all of these intentional failings of the Democratic Party, but the moment we question his candidacy and his power, he's upset and calling out the elites. That's ridiculous. And I think it speaks to your point in an earlier segment we did today about this sort of pathological need for power, that it's some kind of addiction or sickness. Why is Dianne Feinstein getting pushed around in a wheelchair in Congress by Pelosi's son? It's a very strange thing that happens in U.S. government where people run time and again, and it's almost like nothing is enough in their seeking of power.
Yes, it's a corrupting force, and at the same time, you're right. And at the same time, these people will pretend that they're not the elites, that they're running against the system. This happens on the Republican side too. Obviously, Donald Trump is still believed by many of his supporters to be a political outsider, despite having held the office of presidency. And they're like, well, the deep state or the administrative state is out to get him. He was once in a position to do something about that, to ramp down the bureaucratic power apparatus in Washington, and he didn't do it. So it makes you, wonder about the actual commitment to bringing an outsider perspective and doing something about the elites. That both parties want to tap into that anti-elite frustration and then do very little on behalf of the people. That does it for us today on Rising. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being here, Jessica. And let's let our viewers know that you will be back in studio live with me. Not live, but as a living, breathing human being next to me starting next week, correct?
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to being back in DC for another extended Robby and Jess Playdate.
Wonderful. All right, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're available anywhere you can find your podcast. See you tomorrow.
Bye, y'all.